If you've been holding off on buying a home here in Chattanooga, Tennessee until 2025, this video is going to cover everything you need to know about 2025, the benefits of it, and how to pull the trigger. Whether you bought or didn't buy in 2024, I think this past year provides a good example or case study even on where we stand and what to expect moving forward. So we just had a US election. 2025, Donald Trump will be our new president. But I don't really want to talk about politics, although it does affect the housing market a little bit. There are other things that happened this past year that definitely did affect the housing market on the micro level. For example, Florida experienced two major hurricanes this year, Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. And although that affected so many people down in Florida, it also affected what happened here in Tennessee. A lot of my viewers, or a lot of you guys, called in saying that you are tired of hurricane prep and cleanup. You're tired of the insurance crisis that comes with that. You're tired of the year-round heat, among other things that just caused you guys to start searching for different places to live. And a lot of times I don't blame you. I actually used to live in Florida, and hurricane prep and cleanup especially was just not fun. But this past year was crazy because something like 500,000 homes got affected by these past two hurricanes, which is absolutely insane. Unfortunately, you guys in Florida have had it absolutely rough this past year. That resulted in a lot of Floridians deciding that Tennessee would be their next home. Now let's take a step back for a second and talk about the last 5 years, because within the last 5 years, the real estate market has absolutely boomed. We all know this started during the COVID era back in 2020. In some areas, in some cases, we've seen appreciation from 40 to 90%. Tennessee has seen some population growth as well as people started to move from the West Coast, like California, Arizona, Texas, Florida, New York. So we've seen a little bit of population growth as well, which obviously does affect the housing market as well. Now, Chattanooga specifically has seen pretty steady population growth since the 1990s. Regardless, people continue to move here because of its beauty, the lower cost of living, lower taxes, and everything else that Tennessee has to offer. Now let's talk about interest rates in 2024 for a second. Consistently across the board, we saw interest rates hover just above 6%. Now there were obviously some lows and highs throughout the year, and it even got up to around 8% at one point. But consistently it's hovered around 6%. Despite these higher interest rates, Tennessee's housing market remains pretty steady and pretty strong, and we are still seeing plenty of equity across the board. The median home price in Chattanooga reached to about $389,000, which reflects about a 5.9% increase from the previous year. So again, despite those higher interest rates, this data really does reflect this market's resilience, even in a challenging market environment. Now, the growth and the appreciation that we see in the median home price is largely dependent on the immediate area in Chattanooga. It's going to be dependent on the neighborhood and the suburbs that we're looking at here in the area. So for example, in a popular area like Ooltewah, 2023, we saw a median sold home price of $440,000. This year in 2024, that reached $467,000 as the median sold home price. So that reflects about a little above a 6% appreciation in the Ooltewah area. In Signal Mountain, another popular suburb here in the area, in 2023, we saw a median sold home price of $623,000. In 2024, that median sold home price rose to $693,000. And in places like St. Elmo, which is becoming more and more popular because of its rich history and character, we saw a massive increase in the median sold home price. Back in 2023, it was $337,000, and in 2024, it rose to $497,000. There's a few areas around Chattanooga that are becoming more and more popular, which we'll get into in a second, but St. Elmo specifically, I think we're going to see a lot of opportunity there for a lot of appreciation just based on demand and increase in popularity. And plus, it's just a really cool vibe in that area with a ton of history, a ton of character, and a ton of beautiful views as well. Yeah, we're talking a lot of numbers right now, but why in the world are people moving to Chattanooga in the first place? And why is this market remaining so steady and so strong? Besides the obvious ones like its natural beauty, its low cost of living, Chattanooga is actually ranked the second best place to live for remote workers nationwide. Chattanooga was also ranked the best place to retire in the South by Southern Living magazine. Chattanooga was also named the best city to live in Tennessee by US News and World Report, and it has slowly been climbing to the top of that top 50 cities to live in list. And Chattanooga, lastly, I'll just name this last one, but Chattanooga is ranked the #1 friendliest city in the United States. So this town is reaching the headlines, okay? It is not flying under the radar anymore. People are catching on. People are starting to realize that, hey, Chattanooga is actually a great place to live, whether you are retiring, single, or have a family. So what kind of wins did we see for buyers in 2024, given the current state of the housing market? We actually saw a lot of equity gains at closing for a lot of my clients. They moved into homes with $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 of equity. What that means is when we got the appraisal back, that appraisal came in, again, $5,000 to $15,000 more than the contract price. So that's super important when we talk about long-term gains and wealth and just the saving account that house provides. When it comes to negotiations, buyers found a significant benefit in those seller concessions going towards closing costs or rate buydowns. When a lot of people are concerned about those higher interest rates, what we can do a lot of times is have the seller pay you some money in closing costs towards a rate buydown. So what that 2-1 rate buydown does is it really just eases your way into home ownership. It lowers your interest rate by 2 points in the first year and then 1 point in the second year, which allows you to have a lower payment those first 2 years, which does help out and saves you a little bit of money down the road. A lot of times we're able to have the seller pay for a lot of the buyer's closing costs as well. And then we saw some price reductions off the top of the price as well. So when we talk about strategy in this past year's housing market and then going into 2025, a lot of our negotiations and strategy revolved around saving our clients and our buyers money over time in the form of seller concessions to help pay for those closing costs and interest rate buydowns. A lot of times doing it that way actually saves you more money over time rather than taking that one-time price drop. So instead of focusing on price reductions, what we did is we kind of prioritized and structured deals around saving our buyers money over time in the form of having the seller pay concessions for the buyer at closing. You know, if a buyer gets a reduced interest rate, it could actually have a more significant impact on their financials over time rather than just a one-time price drop. Now, when we talk about interest rates, we often hear the phrase, marry the home, date the rate. It's a little cliche. I don't really like it because here's the reality. Life events are usually what dictates the need to move, whether it's a growing family, whether it's people retiring, empty nesters. So for example, my wife is pregnant. We're super excited about it and the baby is due in May. With that, we are looking to upsize to a little bit bigger home. So it's big life events like this which actually determine the need to move. So instead of focusing on trying to time the market, the key is understanding the market and how to navigate it effectively. We know the best time to purchase a home is when you are emotionally ready to make that move and when you are financially ready to make that move. So how can you as a buyer win in any market? Well, we need to ask ourselves a few questions and make strategic pivots. For example, what can I adjust to make this market work for me? Also, what strategies can I implement in order to stay competitive even when conditions seem less than ideal? So we need to keep a few tools in the toolbox, like a lot of buyers did in 2024 when we asked for seller concessions to help cover some of those closing costs and for rate buydowns. A lot of my clients are saving a lot more money over time than asking for that one-time discount or $5,000 or $10,000. And what 2024 provided with these case studies is that actually buying in a higher interest rate market is not a deal breaker. And if you use a lot of these tools, you can have an advantage in this market. So with plenty of equity in Chattanooga homes, there are still plenty of opportunity for you to get favorable terms that work for your financial goals. So enough with the past. Let's talk about 2025, what to expect and how to position ourselves the best way possible to get the most favorable terms for you guys. As rates continue to decline, we're slowly going to see a pickup in the market. The US election really did slow down the market here, but either way, this time of year is pretty slow for real estate in general. Now, during the holidays, people just are not as active. Sellers are less motivated to sell. Buyers are less motivated to pick up and move when they can be with family enjoying the holidays. So with that said, the real estate market is actually very cyclical throughout the year. And usually around fall, winter time, this is when we see a slowdown. People are just less active in general. In fact, after Thanksgiving, I've already seen an increase in reach outs from viewers on the YouTube channel. A lot of you guys are reaching out. I super appreciate all of you guys who reach out and end up using our services when it comes to your real estate needs. Guys, if you haven't figured it out already, I am a licensed realtor here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. As much as I love making these videos, I love helping you guys with your real estate needs even more. So in any of the ways down below, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to assist you. So as rates trickle down post-election, the market is going to pick up. Now, what does that mean for you? Overall, that means more competition. It means for those houses that are priced accordingly, we're probably going to see more multiple offer situations. And we're overall going to see less days on market for a lot of these homes as well. As I mentioned before, the real estate market is very cyclical, and there's actually a little window starting from the first of the year to about springtime where the rates are just a little bit lower. The market doesn't pick up just yet, and we see more and more listings starting to hit the market. So there's that little window where buyers can still take advantage of those opportunities for having the seller pay those closing costs, or for a rate buy down, or just general price reductions. And then after springtime, we see the market start to pick back up and we are in full swing. So early 2025 in Q1, it will likely present itself as a sweet spot before competition starts to heat up. We are also seeing more and more opportunities when it comes to new build communities. Chattanooga is growing and has been growing pretty rapidly, and with that, the number of new communities and new homes being built have also increased. With the post-COVID boom, a lot of builders were behind and there just was not enough inventory to service the demand. Now that competition and demand has slowed down a little bit, builders are starting to catch up. What that means is just more incentives for buyers. So like I said back in 2024, a lot of those seller concessions not only happened with resale homes, but new communities and builders were also offering those incentives as well towards your closing costs or a rate buy down in order to move inventory. So I believe we're going to see that more often here in 2025 as well. Chattanooga continues to see a ton of growth in master plan communities that blend modern homes with super desirable amenities like pickleball courts, pools, tennis courts that are very walkable, have sidewalks and nature trails throughout the community. We've seen a lot of that recently as well. There are a few reasons why you might consider a new build over a resale home. Number one, it has to do with those incentives that those builders are offering. They're a lot of times offering those incentives up front, so you don't even have to negotiate them. They also offer incentives with free upgrades with appliances and things of that nature. With new construction, homes are move-in ready, and a lot of times you have minimal maintenance for years. So pro tip on new builds, a lot of times you hear horror stories of people moving into their brand new home and then they have issues for that first year or for the years to come. Now, a lot of these can actually be easily mitigated by hiring a good realtor to represent you, but also getting a third-party inspector to inspect the house and then asking the builder to repair a lot of those items. I hear a lot of buyers who end up not getting an inspection on their new construction home, and that is honestly a mistake. A lot of people think that a house is going to be perfect as soon as it's done being built. That's just not the case. Whether the house is 100 years old or it's brand spanking new, there's going to be a few things that need to be fixed. And we want to make sure to get an inspector in there and then have the builder address those issues so that you don't have a lot of maintenance issues in that first year. Now, some key areas to look for new builds in 2025. We're going to go over that list. Number one is Hickson. Hickson is a really cool community, super close to Chickamauga Lake. It's also close to the Cumberland Mountains. If you love the outdoors, Hickson might be a great place for you. It's also one of the more established areas in Chattanooga. So you'll see new construction communities, but you'll also see very well-established communities where you will have those bigger lots. Often when it comes to new builds, you don't have very big lots, so you don't have that much maintenance. A lot of people do like that, where they don't have that much yard maintenance, things of that nature. Some people want bigger yards. So when you want a bigger yard, you're likely going to be in a more well-established community with an older home. Either way, Hickson has a mix of that for you. They just put up a brand new gym, Crunch Fitness, also just a brand new commercial area. There's a lot going on in Hickson. I personally really like it. Your main shopping point is going to be Northgate Mall, which has a lot of those newer amenities around it. And then also the distance to downtown is just not very far. We're talking 15 to 25 minutes, depending on how deep you are in the suburb. Another place to look at is Lookout Valley or the Black Creek community. Black Creek is by far the largest master plan community in Chattanooga, and it's seated right in the mountains. They built that community within the mountains. So what you can expect with Black Creek is rockstar awesome amenities on a beautiful top-rated golf course, also beautiful mountain views. Now you can do Black Creek a few ways. You can either purchase a lot and then build down the road, hire your own builder, or you can purchase a pre-sold lot, which seems to be a little bit more cost effective. And then you can hire a builder like Curate or A. Perry Homes or Cole Construction in order to build a spec home with obviously your customizations and everything. That route seems to be a little bit more cost effective than just buying a lot and building on your own. That community is also jam-packed with amenities like pickleball and tennis courts, pool, state-of-the-art golf course, and they're also bringing a lot of those amenities up to the top of the mountain or the pass, which is the newest part of the community. That's where you're going to see most of your new construction homes, right in that area. Speaking of mountain views, you can also find new homes in communities like Signal Mountain. You'll see a lot of new standalone homes, but you'll also see communities start to develop like the Flipper Bend community, which is already established, but it is expanding, and you can sometimes get absolutely gorgeous views where you can see for miles and miles and miles. You'll also find new communities pop up in Ooltewah as well. So if you look at Chattanooga, Chattanooga is seated right in the valley, right? You got two mountain ranges to the east and to the west. And you got the Cumberland Mountain Range to the west, which is basically a wall. It's like a plateau up there. That's where Signal Mountain sits on, Lookout Mountain sits on as well. And that's why you won't see a lot of new big communities expand west, because you got that mountain range that blocks it. On top of the mountain, it's a little bit different story. But when you look over east in East Brainerd and Ooltewah, there's a lot of green space in that area. It's a little bit flatter. It is hilly, still a hilly terrain, but it's much flatter than the rocky Cumberland Mountains. So you'll see a lot of expansion east of Chattanooga, East Brainerd, Ooltewah, towards Cleveland as well. We're seeing a lot more expansion east. We're seeing a lot more expansion in new communities pop up east, and it's just becoming more and more of a place where a lot of families like to live. In places like Northshore, St. Elmo, and Southside, you won't see a lot of master plan communities per se, but you will see a lot of those standalone homes, new homes, or renovated homes as well. People like those areas because it's super walkable, close to a lot of the downtown amenities. If you're like going out to restaurants or bars often, you like walking to them, these are great options for that as well. And we're also seeing new communities pop up in places like Soddy Daisy, which is a little bit more rural, a little bit more hilly and scenic. If you want a little bit slower paced lifestyle and you don't care too much about going downtown often, but you still have all of your amenities within a 15-20 minute drive, Soddy Daisy might be a great option for you as well. So Chattanooga is more than just its well-known neighborhoods or suburbs. There's a few smaller areas that were once overlooked that are now emerging in popularity. Number one is Red Bank. Red Bank is situated right between downtown Chattanooga and Hickson. The appeal to Red Bank is, number one, affordability. You can just get a much more affordable home in Red Bank, and you're within a 10 to 15 minute drive of Chattanooga. When a lot of people think about being close to downtown, Northshore comes into the conversation, but Northshore has appreciated so much that, you know, in order to get into a decent home there, you're going to be spending around at least $500,000 to $600,000. Red Bank is much more affordable, although it is a little less walkable than Northshore. It's still super close to downtown. You also have St. Elmo, which is one of Chattanooga's historic districts. Fun fact, St. Elmo, that area used to be big in silver mining back in the 1800s. And now it is one of the more charming and definitely historic places in Chattanooga. I love St. Elmo because although new homes are popping up, the charm of the community is still there. They're not putting up homes with no character. A lot of times they're pretty unique and still very aesthetically pleasing. So what is a good game plan for you guys when you are looking to purchase a home in Chattanooga or in Tennessee in 2025? Well, number one, don't try to time the market. Again, the real estate market is very cyclical throughout the year. There's ups and downs, but listings still come up every single day. and you don't want to time the market based on that, but you do want to purchase when you are financially ready to purchase and when you are emotionally ready to make that purchase. January through March or April, this is generally a good time to purchase because there's just not as much competition. The downside is there's just not as much inventory. However, if you do find the house that you like, you're likely not going to have that much competition to secure it. Now, the rest of the season up until winter, this is usually the hottest time to buy, only because there is much more inventory. Sellers are a little bit more motivated to get out, but because you do have more competition, sometimes there's less negotiating room. So it's always a give and take situation with that, right? And then come winter, this is my favorite time to buy because this is the ugliest side of Chattanooga. A lot of viewers have never been to the area before. And so we all know that it is a very, very scenic area, and all winters are still very beautiful in my opinion. It is the ugliest time to come and visit because there's no foliage on the trees. It's not green, it's very gray. Sometimes it's cloudy and sometimes it rains. So if you can handle the 2 or 3 months of winter and it's not a deal breaker for you guys, then it's amazing time to come and visit and purchase a place. There's not a lot of competition. A lot of people are at home for the holidays as well. So again, 2025 is full of opportunity for home buyers in the Chattanooga market. With the right approach, we can navigate the market pretty effectively and find a home that fits your needs. So just remember, the market is always changing. The most important thing is to have goals and have a plan so that when the time is right, we can execute. And a reminder, guys, I am a licensed realtor here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So if you guys are looking to move to the area or you just want to have a conversation about it, please feel free to contact me in any of the ways down below, and I'll be absolutely happy to help. If you found some value in this video, please feel free to hit that like button, comment down below if I missed anything, and please subscribe for more videos like this every week. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.